Ну что, дорогие друзья, всем привет! Сегодня наш последний урок. Dear friends, hi everyone. Today is our last lesson. Today we are going to talk about the construction Меня зовут and у меня есть. My name is and I've got something, I have something. So the construction Меня and у меня is a personal pronouns in genitive case. We'll talk about genitive case and accusative case and why sometimes they have the same form. Well, actually, I can tell you now, genitive case and accusative case are the same when it comes to animate nouns. So when we talk about animate nouns, these two cases are the same. So obviously, personal pronouns are animate, and in the case of меня or у меня, the case of belonging, accusative and genitive are going to have the same construction. So we'll talk about personal pronouns in that case. Then we will move to prepositional case with the preposition на. So remember we talked about preposition в, preposition о, and now we'll talk about preposition на, which means on or sometimes by. Да? Я на балконе, я на машине, я играю на гитаре. So the preposition на can mean either on or by. We'll look at some examples. Then we'll talk about one more reflexive pronoun находиться, to be located. And we'll talk about more verbs. I'll give you more vocabulary on verbs and I'll tell you what difficulties you may experience while conjugating different verbs. So we'll talk about some unexpected added vowels and added consonants. And lastly, we'll talk about plural nouns, plural forms of nouns. Okay, let's begin. We will start with two sentence patterns. Меня зовут, for example, меня зовут Катя, and у меня есть. У меня есть машина, for example. And let's look at the first construction. Меня зовут Катя. You can translate it in English as my name is Katya. But then why did we change я to меня? Literal translation of меня зовут Katya is me being called Katya, or me they call Katya. So the difference between a personal and impersonal subject is that in the construction with impersonal subjects, when I am being called, we change personal pronouns. So for example, if I say я Katya, I am Katya, this is a personal subject construction. I am Katya, я Katya. And when I say меня зовут Katya, it's impersonal. I am being called Katya. Me, they call Katya. And we change the personal pronoun я to a personal pronoun меня, which is я in genitive case. Well, let's stop on that. It's я in genitive case. So let's look at all of our personal pronouns and how they're going to look in genitive case. So я is меня, мы is нас, ты тебя, вы вас, он его, она ее, and они will be их. And some examples. Меня зовут Катя. Его зовут Джерри. Ее зовут Маиша. Их зовут Michael and Cat. And нас зовут The Art of Russian. Нас зовут русская группа. Ее зовут Эми и его зовут Andy. So now we're looking at the second, more complicated construction. У меня есть, or simply у меня. We translate it to English as I've got something, or I have something. However, the literal translation is something is owned by me. Something belongs to me. Something is in my possession. Let's look at the example. У меня есть дом. I have a house. The literal translation is the house is owned by me. The house belongs to me. The house is in my possession. let's look at this table. The first person, я, will change to у меня or у меня есть. I have something, I've got something, or something belongs to me. Plural, it will be мы, will change to у нас есть. Second person, ты, will change to у тебя есть, or simply у тебя. And plural or respectful вы, we will say у вас есть. And the third person, она, we will say у нее есть. Он and оно, we will say у него есть. And они, we will say у них есть. Practice saying these examples with me. У них есть дети. They've got children. У него есть семья. He's got a family. У вас есть пропуск? Have you got an access card? У нас есть книги, тетради, карандаши и краски. We've got books, exercise books, pencils and paints. У нее все хорошо. All is well with her, or she's okay. And the next thing we are going to talk about is the prepositional case with the preposition на. Let's look at some examples. На гитаре, on the guitar. На воздухе, on the air or in the air. На машине, on the car. На лошади, on the horse. На бумаге, on the paper. So we use prepositional case with the preposition на in different cases, different scenarios. For example, when we talk about position or location, so the example на воздухе can be used in a sentence like мы находимся на свежем воздухе. We are located at the place with the fresh air, somewhere outside, the place with the fresh air, на воздухе. We can also say мы находимся на поляне. We are located at the open field. Or мы находимся на стадионе. We are located at the stadium. So you see, we used the preposition в before when we talked about the place with borders, something where we inside. We are in the bank or at the bank, inside the bank, в банке, or we are in the store, at the store, в магазине. But then when we talk about an open place, как стадион, we'll say на стадионе, at the stadium because it's open, or на поляне, on the open field, or на свежем воздухе, where the fresh air is on the fresh air. I don't know if in English you say on the fresh air. And so на стадионе, на поляне, на balcony, on the balcony, at the balcony, because it's also open. So when it's inside something with borders, we say в, and when it's outside, most of the time we'll say на. Then we use preposition на when we talk about the way of transportation. Again, the way of transportation, for example, we will use when we say я еду на лошади. I'm riding on the horse. I'm using the horse as my way of transportation. Or я еду на машине. I'm driving on the car. I'm driving the car as my transportation. The car is my transportation. So we say, we use preposition на when we talk about the way of transportation. Я еду на самолете. Я лечу на самолете. Я еду на машине. Я плыву на лодке. And so on and so on. На and then the way of transportation. Again, the difference is when you talk about location inside. So if somebody asks you, где ты? Where are you at? You can say, я в автобусе. I'm inside the bus right now. Я в автобусе. Но if somebody asks you, как ты сюда приехал? How did you get here? How, not where are you, but how, you will say на автобусе, right? So в автобусе, на автобусе. В машине, на машине. Где ты? Я в машине. Where are you at? I'm in the car. И как ты сюда приехал? На машине. How did you get here? By car or on the car. Okay? Let's look at some examples when we ask a question на чем, on what. На чем ты играешь? On what do you play? На гитаре, on the guitar. На чем ты ездишь? On what do you go? Or on what do you drive? На лошади, or на машине. На чем ты пишешь? On what do you write? На бумаге, on the paper. So again, important thing to mention is that prepositional case, when it comes to ending of the noun, changes the same with all of the prepositions, whether it's v or o, ob or na. The ending is going to change according to the rules we discussed. So if you talk about машина, we will say в машине or на машине. The ending of машина will change to ye regardless of the preposition. When we talk about, or when we say лошадь, we'll say на лошади, it will change to и. Or when I talk about я думаю о лошади, I'm thinking about the horse, it's still going to be лошади at the end. So the prepositions may change, but the ending of the noun, you remember, consonants and я will change to е. When it и краткое and when it мягкий знак, it will change to и. And before we move to the next topic, next chapter, let's look at these examples again. Рисовать на бумаге, to draw on paper. Писать на бумаге, to write on paper. Играть на гитаре, to play the guitar. Быть, находиться на воздухе, to be outdoors, outside, in the open air. You can also say быть, находиться на свежем воздухе, on the fresh air, in the open fresh air. Быть, находиться на улице, to be outdoors, outside, in the street. Ездить на машине, to go by car. Or ездить на лошади, to ride the horse. And the next topic that we're going to discuss is the reflexive verb that I mentioned already a couple of times, находиться, to be located. So again, reflexive verb is when the action is directed back to the subject. It's not active, it's passive. So passive is to be located, not to locate. For example, Томск находится в Сибири. Tomsk is located in Siberia. Tomsk is a subject and the action is going back to that subject. It is located in Siberia. Находиться is the verb of the second conjugation, that it gives it away, that it's second conjugation. It's actually hard to conjugate first person, second person. We are going right now to look only at the third person conjugation. Он, она, оно находится, and они находятся. So here you can see the rules are like in a normal second conjugation. It and yat in the third person plural. Plus we add that reflexive suffix ся. So it actually conjugates exactly like every regular verb plus that suffix ся. The reason we are not looking at different persons because we'll have some additional consonants in the middle. So we'll go into talk about this a little bit later in this video. But let's look at some examples. Дом находится в деревне. The house is located in the village. Or the house is in the village. Сейчас дети находятся в школе. The children are at school right now. Школа находится в городе. The school is in the town. Люди находятся на улице. The people are outside. Город находится в Сибири. The town is located in Siberia. Цирк находится на улице Гагарина. The circus is in Gagarin Street. The one thing that I forgot to mention is pay attention to the stress. When we say находиться, the stress is at the end of the word. Находиться. But then when we change it to the third person, он находится, она находится, они находятся. The stress changed to the middle of the word. It's actually now on о находится. The changing of the stress is common for the second conjugation, so this is just something to pay attention to and be aware of. And we are slowly getting to the end of this video. We are going to look at the verbs and at different conjugations. So let's look at these examples. These are verbs of the first conjugation. Звать, to call, играть, to play, петь, to sing, плавать, to swim, писать, to write, рисовать, to draw, and читать, to read. And then the verbs of the second conjugation, we'll look at ездить, to go by transport, любить, to love, and находиться, we talked about, to be located. So what we're going to discuss here is how the root of the verb, the stem, the root of the verb, may sometimes change vowels or consonants when it goes to a personal conjugation, right? When we use it with the person я, ты, вы, он, она, они. Not only the endings that we learn can change, but also some additional vowels or consonant in the actual stem of the verb. For example, you remember the verbs that we discussed? Знать, to know, собирать, to collect, and работать, to work. These verbs only change the endings when it comes to personal conjugation. So, знать will be я знаю, ты знаешь. Собирать will be я собираю, ты собираешь. And работать will be я работаю, ты работаешь. Nothing changes but the actual end. So we take that T away and we add U or U and we add ешь or ёшь. This is what's called easy or regular conjugation, when we simply know the rule, we know the pattern, and we just change the ending. And this is going to be the same scenario, the same case, for the verbs играть, читать и плавать. Я играю, я читаю, я плаваю. Ты играешь, ты читаешь, ты плаваешь. Вы играете, вы читаете, вы плаваете. Он играет, он читает, он плавает. Они играют, они читают, они плавают. Now, let's look at the verb рисовать. Рисовать, to draw. When it comes to the personal conjugation, it goes like this. Я рисую, мы рисуем, ты рисуешь, вы рисуете, он, она рисует, они рисуют. So you see how the stem, the root of the verb рисов, and then ать, changed to рис, and then suffix u. Рис у ю, рис у ешь, рис у ют. Right? So it's not рисов anymore. It's рис and u and blah blah blah. Took over away and replaced it with u. And the other phenomenon that we're going to look at is the phenomenon of mobile or moving or. The vowel or can sometimes appear and disappear from any word in Russian language. It's done to normally separate consonants. For example, in the word Litva, as a country, there is no vowel between t and v, but then in the words Litovets and Litovka, we have that vowel separating two consonants when it comes to talking about nationalities. Same thing can happen with the verbs when it goes through conjugation. For example, the verb звать, to call, doesn't have vowel between z and v, but then take a look at what happens when we conjugate it. It would be я зову, мы зовем, ты зовешь, вы зовете, он зовет, она зовет, они зовут. So we have that or separating two consonants now. For the remaining verbs of the first conjugation, петь, to sing, and писать, to write, we are going to look at the phenomenon called vowel and consonant interchange. This actually happens in English language and in other languages as well. So take a look at these examples. Long, length, wide, width, foot, feet, speak, speech. Pleasant, pleasure, the writing is the same, but the pronunciation is different. Same as press and pressure, the pronunciation of S changes to sh. So the same thing happens in Russian language. Петь, to sing, will change to я пою, ты поешь, вы поете, он, она, оно поет, and они поют. And писать, we say я пишу, мы пишем, ты пишешь, вы пишете, он, она, оно пишет, and они пишут. Also, you can see that in the second scenario, the stress changed from пишу, again, the ending, to пишет, он, она пишут, and они пишут. So from the ending, the stress changed to the middle of the verb. And the last two verbs, this time verbs of the second conjugation, are going to illustrate the consonant interchange. So we have the verbs ездить, to go by transport, and любить, to love. They will show us the consonant interchange, but only in the first person. Take a look at these examples. Ездить, я езжу, мы ездим, ты ездишь, вы ездите, он, она ездит, и они ездят. And любить, я люблю, мы любим, ты любишь, вы любите, он, она любит, and они любят. So you saw how in the first example they changed to je in the first person only, and then in the word любить we added extra L when it comes to the first person again. Я люблю, но мы любим, ты любишь. So consonant interchange, addition to extra vowels and consonants, is something that you will see throughout personal conjugation. There's now one formula to know verbs like that. This is something that comes with knowledge and with practice. You'll definitely see patterns, like pattern when de changes to je or ze changes to je, because I, as a Russian speaker, can sometimes tell that it's not very natural for me to say zu or zu, but it's more natural for me to say a hard consonant like zh, zhu. So sometimes you will have the patterns. This is something that you will do in like your beginner or intermediate lessons, conjugation of verbs. You'll see patterns. You'll kind of be able to predict how the consonants may change. But for now, I just wanted to be aware of the phenomena of these constructions in general, and then you'll just learn how to conjugate certain verbs, and you'll be like, okay, this verb is conjugated this way. So when I say любить in the first person, I add extra L. Я люблю, but then I take this L away. Ты любишь, он любит, она любит. And that's it. That's how you know the conjugation. You know a pattern overall, the rule overall, and then you know that there might be some tweaks when it comes to each verb, right? Individually, you'll have to take a look and actually learn the conjugation. But this is it. This is what I wanted to talk about, the conjugation. And the last thing, the last part of this video, I want to talk about plural nouns. Okay, so the last part, when it comes to plural nouns, the changing of a noun from singular to plural will happen only by changing the ending of a noun. Most of the time, you will see it in the examples with I or U at the end. Sometimes it's going to be something else. Sometimes it's going to be a or some other cases, but most of the time it's either I or U. Let's look at the examples of nouns ending on a vowel and on a consonant. So we'll take a look at the examples ending on a vowel, ga, ka, va, and ta, and ending on a consonant with sh and мягкий знак. For example, книга will change to книги, краска will change to краски, Буквки. Буква will change to буквы. Карандаш will change to карандаши. And тетрадь will change to тетради. So just by looking at these examples, you can tell that, okay, maybe if you see it in a sentence, you'll understand that we talk about plural items. It's either I or I. And I want to tell you even more about how we make this selection, right? When it's I, when it's I, when it's something else. So take a look at this screenshot. So the rule is when the noun ends on I краткое, like for example boy, the fight, in plural it will change to I, бои. When the noun feminine, masculine will end on мягкий знак, it also will change to I in plural form. So ночь will be ночи. And same with я, if it ends on я, it will change to I. Например, дядя will be дяди, and тетя will be тети. And then we have the consonants k, g, h, j, sh, ch. With the vowel a or without the vowel a, they're also going to change to I. For example, the sword, меч, will be мечи, it's a masculine noun. And then враг will be враги. And кошка will be кошки. And we will have with all of the other consonants, also with the vowel a or without the vowel a. So стол, the table, will be столы. Корона, the crown, will be короны. Or корова will be коровы. And then кот will be коты. Sometimes you'll have the stress change when the singular number changes to plural, so we will have the stress changed. But here, the basic examples of when it's going to be I and when it's going to be U, sorry. But here the examples, just to remember when it changes to I or to I. I think for English speakers it's even hard to say the difference between I and I, so most of the time people say it's the same, I or I. Let's also look at some exceptions. We have exceptions. Глаз and I will be глаза. Паспорт will be паспорта. Город, города. Дом, дома. Брат, братья, муж, мужья, сын, сыновья, друг, друзья, учитель, учителя. And now let's look at the example with the neuter, средний род, with the neuter nouns. We have о changing to а, озеро, озера, слово, слова, окно, окна. And here you can hear how I change the stress. You see, окно, but окна. So in plural it actually changed to о. Don't ask me why, I have no idea why. And then we have е, море, моря, поле, поля. And some examples with мя, I would not recommend spending your time, wasting your time right now, because those are some rare words. Maybe only время will change to времена and имя to имена. These are good words to know, but you can skip everything else. And some exceptions here. We have дерево, a tree. In plural will be деревья. And яблоко, an apple. In plural will be яблоки. Special endings when it comes to nationalities, we talked about it. So англичанин will be англичане, христианин will be христиане, крестьянин will be крестьяне. So this is a national belonging, nationality endings. And the most unusual, uncommon exceptions are мать, матери, mother, mothers, дочь, дочери, daughter, daughters, человек, люди, person and people, and ребенок и дети, a child and children. This is it, guys. This is all the wisdom that I wanted to give you, my beginners in Russian language. Watch this video, learn Russian on your own. Thank you so much again for participating in this whole thing, in this whole session. It was very valuable for me. I'm happy that you took this class. Thank you. Пока-пока.